I think people should ask questions. I'm with you on that, Jesse. And so, Greg, though, I think that, this whole discussion comes down to a matter of trust, that people do want the kind of trust and accuracy and transparency that Jesse's talking about. But a part of that question is then who do you trust to make the final call? Do you trust the policymakers and the politicians, or do you trust the scientific experts and the doctors? How would you come out on that?
You would trust the adults in the room. This is an adult question because the fact is you can mitigate risk, but you can never eliminate risk. And we did a hell of a job mitigating it. We saved lots of lives. When we stopped travel, so early on, because there were thousands of flights coming from China into the United States. Some made it in. But cutting it off early, that saved a lot of lives. I will say this. I think right now the media should resist the temptation to see this as over because we are a leading indicator for the rest of the country. And the battle is paying off in New York with way fewer casualties. But we have to remember there are other cities that are right behind us. So, we have to be careful that there are other people going through some things. Brett Weinstein is a biology professor. And he makes a really good point. As horrible as this is, it could have been far worse, given that so many people have been recovering, which suggests that this virus wasn't like Ebola or like AIDS, in which that it destroys you. A lot of people could recover. It definitely killed the people who were weaker, older, and more infirm. But still, we can use something like this, which is less devastating, as a lesson to teach us about the future pandemics. There could be one returning in October. There could be a different virus in 2 years. So this wasn't the apocalypse. It was more like a flight simulator for the apocalypse. This is an excellent dry run to consider all of the questions that Jesse asked, because all the questions he asked, those are really good questions. The origins of the virus. You cannot be called a conspiracy theorist because you think it came from a lab, because it could have just been a contamination accident. And I think a lot of smart people are feeling that way. We have to be, I've learned so much during this period about China, about supply chains, about toilet paper supply chains. I never understood there were two separate supply chains. We've learned so much about the pandemic, preparation for the pandemic. I learned more this month than I learned in 4 years of college. And now we get to be the adults and apply this knowledge to how to understand and prevent something far worse from happening. I'm extremely optimistic. I sounded the alarm months ago, but I'm so optimistic that we're going to figure this out. The irony of this whole thing is that the overall mortality rate for the United States might actually, as a net, be lower because of the things that we did during this. And that's kind of mind-blowing.